Welcome to the Factor Uncensored. Thank you for joining us tonight. A Wisconsin family's world has been turned upside down. A 10-year-old is accused of shooting and killing his mother on November 21st. According to investigators, he was upset with his mother, Kiana Mann, who would not buy him a virtual reality headset off of Amazon. So he put a bullet in his mother's head. Killed her. The criminal complaint shares even more disturbing details. He apparently used his dead mother's account to buy an Oculus virtual reality headset and ask his grandmother if his package had arrived. The 10-year-old is facing serious consequences. He is charged as an adult with first-degree reckless homicide. Sadly, his older sister told police he had always had rage issues. Let's bring in my first guest here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, Fort Bend County Chief Jimmy Evans and therapist Holly Lee McCann. Just mind-blowing that a child could be, I guess the best word to describe it is cold. Cold.
Yes.
Yes.
And that is a description for the Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5th edition of reactive attachment disorder, where you are just unable to bond with others and have empathy. And that is exactly some of the features that, from what I read of this case, that child may have been diagnosed with. They did say that he was in therapy for some serious disorders, but they didn't say which ones. So I have a little list of what could possibly have been, the result of that assessment.
There are some kids who are just born this way. They don't necessarily have to learn this behavior, right?
Well, in some cases, an argument could be made. But in other cases, when I did some research on juveniles who commit violent crimes, presuming the number of children that have trauma, the study that I read was from 2008. It was at least 70% of those juveniles had experienced some sort of trauma. So just because you have a mental disorder does not mean that you would go out and commit a violent crime, especially one as heinous as shooting your own mother at point-blank range in the head.
Chief, are you blown away when you hear the details of this case where a kid pulled out a gun, shot his mother, shot and killed his mother because she wouldn't buy him a toy?
Yes, I am. It's a very tragic incident, and it's unbelievable at 10 years old, and didn't show any remorse. According to the news reports, he didn't show any remorse. He shot his mom in cold blood. And also, according to the news reports, he even logged on the next day, logged on to his mom's account to see if his package had arrived. There's no remorse at all. Now, in the state of Texas, the minimum age that you can that a juvenile could be charged is 10 years old. And this is what occurred in the state of Texas. Of course, the juvenile system is very complex, but based on what I'm seeing here, that he probably would have been charged also in the state of Texas.
What do you think he needs? Does he need intense therapy, mental health help, or should he just be locked up?
No, I think just according to the news report, there were some issues with him acting in a rage. I think with assistance from the schools and the health professions to do a very thorough assessment of this child, and if he needs some mental assessment, assessment and help, then let's try to go that route first. And if we can prove that the child is suffering from mental illness, then go that route instead of going with the punishment and being put into the criminal justice system.
And Holly, when you see these signs where you have a child in your house who is cold, who has no feelings, what should a parent do before it comes to something like this where he puts a bullet in the head of his mother because he couldn't get a game?
Well, when I was reading a little bit more and looking at some other stories regarding this case, learned a few things. That this child, as you said, had rage issues their whole life, that he also had a history of animal cruelty, which is a big...
That's sign number one.
Big sign that
if you watch Dahmer, that's sign number one.
Yes, and so those behaviors are things that parents need to pay attention to when children are aggressive with others, when they make those threats. Children who are victims of bullying, if a child has experienced any sort of trauma, it could be complex trauma as well, where they've experienced it consistently throughout their lives, and maybe it's a way of life because of family dysfunction. We don't know a lot about this family, but what we do know is that they knew that they had a child living in their home who had severe mental health issues. One of the reports said that the therapist recommended that they have cameras in the home for security, but 2 weeks before this incident, the cameras were disconnected. So I'm not sure if they felt it was unnecessary or if it was done, you know, without the therapist's consent.
There is no way you should ignore those signs.
Absolutely.
And that's key for parents out there.
Absolutely.
Do not ignore the signs, especially if you have a child who is not showing any emotion or is showing rage constantly.
Yes.
Thank you both for joining us here on The Fact.